If you're a solo filmmaker and you're not using these tools on set, it's time to level up. If you're able to take the extra few minutes to use these tools on set, you'll save so much time in post-production because 90% of the work has already been done and figured out. The first thing I'm going to talk about today is the Luma Power. It is a light meter and also a color temperature gauge. This will save you so much time in post-production because your footage will be color calibrated every single time coming out of your camera. It will be exposed properly. It will be the right color temperature every single time. And it's so tiny, it just plugs into your smartphone, either Android or iOS. It allows you to get the perfect exposure every single time. Or if you flip it backwards, it'll give you the color temperature. It's an amazing little tool that'll make your footage stand out. One of the things that I find is that a lot of solo filmmakers, they get really comfortable with their camera, with their gear, and they start to trust the waveform, which is fantastic. But the moment they're given a second camera or a different camera and they try to film based on what their other camera system waveform was doing, they find that when they go to post-production, it's different than what they're used to. So this is one of those things where you have it with you, you just double check, you make sure the exposure is right, make sure the color temperature is correct, because some of the lights are not always calibrated. They say they're daylight or they're 5600, but then you put it in front and you actually find out that it's 6300. So this way you get to really dial in your color temperature, and the skin tones are going to be perfect coming straight out of the camera, and you can add on your color grade and all your footage is going to look amazing. It doesn't have to be this one. It doesn't have to be Luma Power. This is one that I prefer because it's so tiny. I literally carry it with me everywhere I go. I travel with it. It's been pretty much around the world to different various shoots. Every single time I've used it, the footage has always looked amazing. It's top notch and it definitely levels up your quality of your footage. So to complement the light meter is a color chart. The X-Rite Color Checker Passport video, and it opens up to have a little mini color chart and also your 18% gray, your middle gray. Just flashing it in front of the camera for a second or two will give you the confidence that you can always go back and color correct properly. They call it the Passport because it's literally the size of a passport. It's tiny. It's a little expensive for what I personally use it for because I use the color meter. But you can get something a little bit cheaper, like this middle gray card that also becomes tiny. You can fold it up and put it in your bag. But again, having that middle gray, it will give you the base color correction tools you need. If you don't have a color temperature or proper exposure, this will help you in so many ways. And it's fun and get to play with it. Something as simple as having just a gray card may be enough to get you a base color correction. If you don't have the time to use any of the light metering tools, this is definitely something that will always allow you to get back to your base color correction and have beautiful colors and skin tones. And that's always the key, making your clients look amazing with their skin tones. So the next thing that every solo filmmaker should have with them, and I'm pretty sure most do, it is a multi-tool. I have a Leatherman. It's not the most expensive one, but it's not the cheapest one either. And it's just literally a multi-tool. It's a knife. It is pliers. It's a screwdriver. It's scissors. It's anything that you could possibly need in any moment. Having a multi-tool will save you time because you won't ever have to look for scissors or other screwdrivers or tools or knives. If you just need something done quickly, it's in your pocket. It's fantastic. There's always a case where it's needed on set. Every single set I've been on, it's been needed multiple times for the multi-tool. Find yourself one. They sell these at Home Depot as well. Not necessarily this brand, but just a multi-tool, just something that is ready to go in your pocket and it's tiny. The next thing I'm going to talk about is having a field notes book or something like that. Something with the ability to take notes on the fly, either being in meetings or if you're prepping or you're shooting something or if you're doing an interview to do follow-up questions. Having the ability to write down potential B-roll suggestions as you're filming something, just having ideas when you're in between shoots, having ideas as you're traveling. I used to think that I could remember all the ideas that were popping in my head just constantly about a shoot. Like, oh, I'll remember that later. I've woken up in the middle of the night and I started writing this. I've moved away from writing physically in the field notebooks because I found that it's a lot more convenient for me to write down ideas in the notepad because I can copy and paste, I can add to them at any point. I feel more organized using this. So definitely having the phone and being able to write notes and do your color exposure and your color temperature. This is one of those great little tools that I know you have it in your pocket already, so start using it. Add the complements to it. The next thing I want to talk about is a laser measure. Having this as a solo filmmaker, I know my focus is going to be spot on every single time. If I can take this and just point it really quickly at whatever I'm shooting and know my distance, I can always adjust accordingly. Especially if it's a wider shot or I'm using a telephoto lens, this allows me to find the perfect focus very, very quickly. My focus is always spot on. That's one of the things that it doesn't matter how good your camera is, how big your sensor is, how amazing the lighting is. If your shot's out of focus, it's useless. It's useless. Having proper focus, especially as a solo filmmaker, and knowing your distance and being able to dial it in and lock it in, this is an amazing little tool to make sure your focus is dialed in solid every single time. As a solo filmmaker, you're the only one there to check your own work. So make sure you use the tools and use the tools properly to help your day and your projects go better. Use the tools to help you use your camera and your equipment better, and you will be off to the races creatively instead of trying to figure out how to fix little minute things that will drive you nuts in the long run. So definitely use the tools to help you do your job better. You made your notes, you properly exposed, the color temperature is correct, the focus is spot on, and you are more efficient and you're able to deliver your projects quicker because you have the confidence that everything was done as well as it could have been on set. All right, that's it. Today was a short one. I wanted to talk about the 5 things that I believe every solo filmmaker needs. These tools are designed to save you time in the long run by spending that little bit extra time on set to make sure all your settings are dialed in to get you the best possible picture. Let me know if there are things that you use to achieve the same thing. Anyways, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.